Okay. Hello, everybody online and in person. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jessica Wilson. I'm the Associate Director for Master's Students. I work with Master's students across campus, and I'm looking forward to meeting all of you. I work in tangent with my campus partners at Computer Science, Data Science, GPS, Rady, all of the graduate programs. But I'm your one-stop shop here at the Career Center. So it's a pleasure to meet you and to get to know you. And I'll pass it off to Josue.
Hello, everybody. My name is Josue. I am the Associate Director for all undergraduate international students. So no matter the major, if you're an international student undergrad, you can meet with me here at the Career Center for a variety of different resources and to get some help. I'll pass it over to Diana.
Hi, everyone. I'm Diana. I'm the Senior Student Employment Analyst here within the Career Center within a small office called the Student Employment Office. If you have any questions concerning on-campus employment, please feel free to contact me or email studentemployment@ucsc.edu.
All right, so we'll go ahead and kind of continue here. Give me 1 second while All right. So this is our Career Center team. So any of these advisors here are able to help you, right? So each advisor is split up into specific areas of focus, right? So for example, Katie, she would be the social sciences associate director. So even if you're an international student and you're majoring in one of these sectors, you can meet with one of these advisors, right? So you're not just only allowed or able to meet with me, you can meet with anybody here on our team that matches kind of what you're looking for. So we have kind of the arts and humanities team, which is led by Helen Hahn. We have the STEM team, which is led by Megan Montano, and the PhD students, who was led by Dr. Yasmin Farley, but she has transitioned to a new role, so we're trying to fill that spot now. So this is, and our executive director, Hassan. He's able to help as well. So this is our team. These are your resources, these people to connect with, talk to, learn from, grow with, right? So, and we'll kind of get into how we could connect with them, reach out to them, and seek services from them. So one thing that we offer here, or a few things that we offer here, is starting with career consulting. So you guys are able to make one-on-one appointments with any of the advisors that you just virtually met through Handshake. How many of you guys are familiar with Handshake so far? Awesome, great, good. So these appointments are 30 minutes, right? And they focus on a wide variety of topics. But you are not limited just to one appointment. You're able to make multiple appointments as needed, depending on your needs, what you're looking to work on. So that's a good thing, right? Not just one-time thing. We also have virtual career fairs. Actually, we have one coming up next month, October 5th. But the good thing is that we are also returning to in-person career fairs as well, which is also happening next month. So one way to keep up with all that is through Handshake, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a second. We also offer professional development opportunities where we have career education events, workshops, job internship searching workshops, things like that. Those are also in person and virtual. And again, Handshake is going to be the best place to keep up with all those type of events going on here at the Career Center and also throughout campus. We often have a lot of employer information sessions as well, where employers host in-person and virtual forums to keep students informed on job opportunities, internships, recruitment processes, and answer questions from you guys on how to best succeed in those application processes. And then we have, along with the employer information sessions, we often have on-campus interviewing, where employers actually come in and interview students on the spot. So that's really, really good, and it's important to take advantage of these really good opportunities. And we also have a ton of online resources for you guys, and we'll go into those right now. So Handshake is I think the most important one for you guys to kind of start with as soon as possible, because you can find workshops, make appointments with advisors, look at job boards, right? Recruiting events and various other things going on. So Handshake, I think, is where like a main place you guys should really be looking. Parker Dewey is a really good opportunity and a good website to find out about micro internships. How many of you guys are familiar with micro internships? No? Cool. So essentially there's kind of like project-based internships where you guys can complete these projects, get paid, and gain experience for your resume, right, and for your career. And the good thing is that they work with international students by providing CPT and OPT kind of visa status options. So it's really good to a really good website. And we just started partnering with Parker Dewey, so UCSD has their own portal within that website. What can I do with this major is also on Handshake. Oh, by the way, all of these resources are on Handshake. You guys go to Handshake Career Center resources. You can find a list of all of these and more, right? But what can I do with this major? Kind of, if you're not really sure what career paths you can take with your major, what options, what fields, this will help you kind of map that out, right? It will give you some information and additional resources to do more research to kind of make that decision. Firsthand, I think we changed the name recently to this. I think it's called Vault now, but it has guides to over 120 career-specific industries, right? Where you can kind of figure out the steps to start in that career. Going global is a really good tool if you guys are looking to work outside of the U.S., internships outside of the U.S. But additionally, they have a lot of really good, you can search and filter by visa that you're looking for, right? CPT, OPT. So that's another really good kind of job portal that you could use. And then Big Interview is one that I recommend to students quite a bit. If you guys have never interviewed before or maybe never interviewed in the U.S., Big Interview is really good to kind of get you started and be prepared for those first interviews, right? Along with kind of the support from the Career Center. So these are kind of some of the on-demand type of resources that we have. We also have online content, like the YouTube channel, where we have previous webinars, info sessions, panel discussions on various careers, topics, and industries. Digital resources that we just spoke about. We have a Triton Career Guide, which is also on our website, and a really good podcast and blog that we have based on career trends. Speak to industry leaders, local leaders as well. So these are all kind of accessible 24/7 to you guys. And then for you guys specifically, international students, this is a really, really good page to find what employers not only sponsor OPT, STEM OPT, or visas, right, but also CPT as well. So it's an information spreadsheet that can be found at this link here. And you guys can kind of scroll through it and filter through industry, right? So for example, pharmaceuticals, research, higher education, telecommunications, right? And it'll show the trends for various companies on their hiring of international students. So for example, Amazon accepts OPT, STEM OPT, has previously sponsored, and the sponsor number is about 21,000, right? So that gives you kind of a number for each employer as well. So this is a really good resource to look at when you guys are trying to find internships, jobs, all that good stuff. Any questions so far? All right, I'll pass it over to Jessica for some more information and tips.
And that resource is on ISPO's webpage. So if you go to ISPO, you go to working, how to find internationally friendly employers, that's where you can find it on the ISPO website. And we will walk you through that if you schedule an appointment as well. So one of the ways, especially in the US, that we encourage students to find a job is through networking, through informational interviewing, and through connections. And that is not by, saying, can you give me a referral, right? It's by having conversations, is by connecting with like-minded professionals in industry, right, who have the skill sets, the passions, maybe a similar career path that you might have, right? And so we utilize this platform called Triton's Connect. So on Triton's Connect, there's over 20,000 alumni of UC San Diego, many of whom want to mentor a current student. So say that they're working at Meta, at Amazon, at Samsung, they're actually a senior engineer. They want to meet with a current UC San Diego student to talk about what is their experience getting into that company. And there's a way that you can filter actually by international students. So were they an international student? But you can filter by company, by industry, you could filter by position title. It's a phenomenal resource. So if you get on this today, I promise you, you'll be leaps and bounds ahead of your classmates. Don't tell them, okay? So Triton's Connect, sign up today with your UCSD email. It's phenomenal. I use it for me and all of my students every day. So another awesome resource, especially if you're a graduate student, a master's or PhD student, we have, just like our undergraduate career peer educators, we have 10 undergraduate peer educators, and we have 2 graduate peer educators. We also have 1 pre-grad peer educator if you're applying to grad school. They host drop-in advising. So say that you're a little bit afraid of me or Josue or somebody else because we're really scary monsters. we have your peers, right, who are working here at the Career Center, who have navigated all of these similar concerns and can help you. So you could talk about resumes, cover letters, interviewing techniques, salary negotiation, campus resources, how to find a campus job, all of those great things. So for fall quarter, it's via Zoom, and you're going to find this link via Handshake. Sarah's also doing amazing events this whole entire quarter. All of those are posted on Handshake already. So LinkedIn sessions, resumes and cover letter, connecting with your peers, they're already posted. So we have responded to your needs. Upcoming events. So these are some big events that we want to share with you. So the first one is we're having an open house. And it's going to be really fun. And it's going to be here. It's on the 26th from 10 to 2. Last year we had hundreds, like 800 students. There's free swag. There's going to be a DJ. There's going to be our entire Career Center team sharing a lot of these same resources, but also some food, I think, right? Some food and some games. And it's for you guys to get to know us and get to know all the advisors at the Career Center and make this your space, because this really is for you. We don't want to see you 6 months before you graduate or the day after you graduate. We want to see you when you first step on campus. We want to see you every day. We want to know your name. We want to see you every week, okay? We want this to be your home. So this is the first event, the open house, for you to really get a sense for who we are. And this is on Handshake, so you can register now. So save that date. As Josue mentioned, we have 3 career fairs coming up in the fall. We have one in person, which is huge because we haven't had that for several years since COVID. So 2 are virtual, science and tech, 1 all majors in person at Lion Tree, which is the gym, and then our grad and professional school. So if you're applying to graduate school, that's where different programs are going to be coming. You want to do one-on-one sessions, so you can have 10-minute session with a recruiter and with an employer. You want to schedule those now, okay? And you want to do your research on the company now and the recruiter. Who are you going to be speaking with, right? That happens not the day before, but right now, right? Definitely look at all the lists of employers that have scheduled. We have hundreds in there. Look at them, sign up for one-on-one sessions, right? Make sure you are signed up. And if you have any questions, come and schedule a Handshake advising appointment and we'll go from there. So if you're a grad student, we have an event. So we have a student organization called the Graduate Professional Students Association, also known as GPSA. And we have a summer career night event where we're bringing in 4 alumni of our campus to talk about what graduate school doesn't teach you. So there's dinner is provided. Only for the first 80 people, you will get a free drink ticket as well. But it's an opportunity to learn from panelists who have finished in the program, who are now working at Innovations for Poverty Action, California Energy Commission, Qualcomm, and now as a professor, to learn from them, what did they do outside of the classroom and what the classroom maybe didn't teach them from grad school. A lot of the times what we hear from students, if you're in a lab, if you have a research position, if you're a TA, if you're part of a student organization, if you're involved outside of the classroom, you will be also successful in your job search, right? We see that time and time again. So these students are going to talk about those topics with you, and that's going to be here. So that's going to be next Thursday. Great event as well, and free food and free drinks. And with that, we have more resources a little bit later, but with that, I'm going to pass it to our wonderful senior student employment analyst, Diana, and we have our director of student employment in the back, Todd. Hello, Todd.
Hi, everyone. Continuing with networking and expanding that experience that you want to gain during your academic career. One thing a lot of students overlook is the importance of on-campus student employment. So on-campus student employment is a great way to begin that networking, especially if you want to partner up with those faculty and staff members that you meet during your academic career. So you might be thinking, why student employment? Why not just start applying to those academic internships or those internships available on Handshake, we do have student stories, and these will be published hopefully soon on our website, where we highlight specific students that have shared their story with us and really highlight the importance and experience that they gained through student employment here at UC San Diego. So student employment at UC San Diego is broken up into 3 components. We're going to be highlighting those non-work study positions. However, 95 to 98% of jobs are not work study required, so you can all certainly apply to them through Handshake. So student employment provides part-time employment opportunities to all students on campus. It'll give you a way to earn money to assist with educational and personal expenses, and again, gain that valuable work experience and develop those transferable skills. Student employment is geared to be a learning lab environment. You're gonna learn on the job, focus on real work and workplace and culture, and then again, build those relationships and expand those professional networks. You can add those your faculty members or staff members that you work with on LinkedIn and really expand that network. So for international students, 5 key takeaways are working. So international students can work on school premise employed by UC San Diego, so any on-campus departments through UC San Diego, and work on commercial firms owned by UC San Diego. So we're talking about those vendors located in Price Center. Those are also options for you. And then it is part-time employment. For international students, you may not exceed those 20 hours per week. However, all student employment, we're trying to focus on keeping students below those 20 hours per week, your students first. And then hourly rates may vary, but starting pay rate is the least is going to be $16.30, but it can go up to $25 to $28 an hour, depending on the type of work and the department that you're employed in. And then that social security number. So you do not need a social to begin applying to those jobs, on-campus jobs on Handshake. However, you will need to apply for a SSN once you've been offered a position, and ideally you should have at least an application in by the first month of your employment. Your department would do follow-up with you on next steps once you do obtain that SSN if you do get an on-campus position. And then types of jobs available. So, ooh, it's a little gray. I hope you can see that, but UC San Diego, I like to call it a little bit a mini city. We have a job just about for everything, starting from like customer service to lab positions to partnering up with labs in JSOE or the computer science engineering, design innovation lab, even at the Birch Aquarium. Is that something that interests you? And then job search strategies and information. So on-campus jobs are all going to be located on Handshake. The 3 filters that I always recommend all students use are the location, so 9500 Gilman Drive, and then part-time and on-campus. That will filter out all those internships that I bet are highly appealing, but if you're focusing on campus student employment, use these 3 filters and you'll be able to see those jobs available to you. And this is an example of a job posting that was posted during the summer. So health, UC San Diego Health also posts jobs on Handshake. So this is just an example. It will have the full job description, the starting pay rate, the job location, which I find is most important. Some jobs do allow hybrid work, so you can be in person and remote. Just note, international work is not permitted, so you would have to be within the US. And it will list the qualifications. So with the qualifications, student employment is designed to be entry-level, minimal experience required. However, you will see some jobs that do require advanced courses. And so just really pay attention to those qualifications to determine if the job is something you are qualified or something that you might have to gain experience in before qualifying. And at the bottom, you might see a UC San Diego student services fees. That is just something that is included in all postings. So as long as you are registered for the quarter, you are eligible to work. And then some jobs do require a background check. And then on these jobs, you will see 2 to 3 competencies listed. These are just competencies that you can then add to the co-curricular record, which is, that additional transcript, but jobs will highlight either any of these 12. So it's just experience, knowledge, skills, and abilities that you will earn on the job or you will reinforce during your position. Okay.
Thank you, Diana. So you can contact us via email if you want. A really good guide that we already mentioned is the Triton Career Guide. So for those of you who are just now getting started, applying to internships, are looking for internships, the Triton Career Guide actually has a resume template. It has a cover letter template. It has steps for networking, how to craft your elevator pitch in an interview, right? It has so many good resources. So it's like a holy Bible of career resources. Check that out, download that. That's also on our website. Definitely sign into Handshake today and schedule a one-on-one appointment with one of the career advisors from your area. Like Josue mentioned, you can meet with any one of us. We're all open to you as a resource. So please check that out. Check out our website. We also have an Instagram and a Facebook and a YouTube that we mentioned. And then I wanted to highlight specifically, if you're a grad student, there are 2 newsletters that you can join on Google. So if you're in a STEM discipline, we have a newsletter that's sent out twice a month. Or if you're in the humanities, arts, and social sciences, we have a specific newsletter for you. So that has job opportunities, that has research opportunities, events, that sort of thing, our drop-in advising hours, any relevant information from campus partners and from our own unit in the grad team. So that should be what is to get you guys started. And then I think I'm passing it off to somebody virtually. Pauline. Thank you.
Yes, okay. I think I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to share screen from here, Jessica.
Okay.
All right.
Should, Pauline, are we going to have a Q&A at the end, or should we stop now for questions?
Yeah, great. Great question. I think this is the one last slide, and then we can go into some FAQs or questions.
Sounds great.
Okay, so before I have a couple of reminders for our international students when it comes to work authorization, I just want to say thank you to Jessica, Josue, and Diana for that really important information. Before you start any kind of employment in the US, it's a good idea to make sure that you know what kind of work authorization you need before you can start. A great place to go is iwork.ucsd.edu. We had some great sessions last week regarding working in the US for our F1 students and also our J1 students. So watch those recordings, check out the information on our website regarding employment authorization. Really make sure that you have what you need before you start. As a reminder for on-campus employment, which I highly, highly recommend you all start with, our F1 students, as soon as you are here in the US and you've checked in with us, you do have automatic employment authorization during your program to accept on-campus jobs. For our J1 students, you do have to request authorization from ISPO via our iPortal. So make sure that you're doing that in advance of accepting and beginning any kind of work. For off-campus employment, most of our students will pursue those internships after their first year of enrolling. So usually the summer after their first year, they'll start to look into summer internships and so forth. I cannot tell you the amount of questions we get around how do I find a job related to my major? What's related to my major? How do I interview? Where do I start? Our wonderful partners at the Career Center here, again, are great resources. Please utilize those resources they've shared today. For off-campus employment, this does require a level of employment authorization. It does take some time to apply for both academic training for J1 students and off-campus employment authorization through or OPT or CPT for our F1 students. So do plan ahead. And if you have any questions, come and talk to ISPO about the employment authorization piece of your career search. So we can go ahead and we can go into some FAQs now. I'll turn it over to Grace to see if we got any good questions from those either virtual or perhaps in person.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. This is our first question coming in through our virtual Q&A. So please, if you're joining us online, submit your questions to that Q&A feature on your Zoom menu bar. Our first question is probably directed towards Josue and Jessica. Are there portals available for free to UCSD students apart from Handshake?
Would it be like job search portals?
I believe that's what the student is referring to, yes.
Yeah, there's a few online, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, things like that. In Handshake, we also have Going Global, which is also, it's free to use to UCSD students. But I think for using the filters and things like that, Handshake would probably be the best that I would recommend for students.
Yeah, I would also suggest LinkedIn is a good job board as well. So JSOE, Jacob School of Engineering, the corporate affiliates program, they post jobs and internships specific to students in JSOE. So you should be checking out their portal. If you're a GPS student at the School of Global Policy and Strategy, they use a platform called 1220. So they have their own platform. I'm sure Rady does as well. They use 1220 as well. So it really depends on your graduate program. We are the central hub here at the Career Center, so we use Handshake. But my advice is just like networking or informational interviewing, you don't just utilize one resource. You utilize all of your campus resources, the same thing with the job board, right? Not just Handshake. You should also utilize LinkedIn and other, especially to your discipline and your major, your industry. There might be another job board depending on your sector. Tech San Diego has some great directories and job boards specific to the tech sector. So you really have to be an entrepreneur and know what is that free job board. You should not be paying for a job board. Yeah, so there's a lot. Come see us and we can point you in the right direction.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Our next question is wondering if folks can go over in a little bit more detail the process for finding an on-campus job on Indeed.
On Indeed?
Potentially, or if there's another process that's better, maybe they might be referring to that.
Sure. I'll bring up Diana for this one.
I wonder, could we walk them through like the website?
Yeah, we could do a walkthrough of Handshake. They just revamped, but
That might take too long.
but yeah, all on-campus jobs will exclusively be posted on Handshake. I know Division of Biosciences has the real portal, so they will be cross-posted onto Handshake. But if it's a paid position, it will be, if it's a paid on-campus position, it will be on Handshake. In terms of student employment, once you get into staff roles, that is a separate thing.
And you probably should be in contact with the coordinator of your graduate or undergraduate department. Because if you're looking for a TA, teaching assistant position, for example, they're going to be emailing out to all of your, to all the students in the department what faculty are sending to them, right? And if you want to be in a lab or working with a professor, you should be reaching out to that faculty member to get a sense of what are they looking for in that lab. Also to develop face-to-face connection with that faculty member, right? So yes, utilize the job board, but you have to tailor every application, and also just submitting an application, even if it's tailored, is not enough. Networking is very, 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 very important.
To add to that, networking is very important.
Yes.
Just because, so sometimes a professor or another faculty member might be thinking of potentially opening a job. You might have established that connection with them. So They might not even consider posting a job live. They might just offer you a position. It has happened in the past, so definitely build those networks within UC San Diego, and it could lead to an opportunity that was never posted. They just offered it to you.
All right, so we have encountered a pause for our online questions. Please, if you're joining us online, submit those. But I think we can take a moment to field questions from our in-person attendees as well.
Sure. Anybody have any questions? Yeah.
A lot of information, huh? Oh, yeah. For NAE, is that what you're saying?
Mechanical and
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So that would be the advice that I just gave, right? So you have a graduate coordinator. Do you know his name? I think it's a he.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So emailing, so any TA position is going to be sent out to all students. So you could send him an email to say, I'm looking for a TA position with a faculty member for the fall, to get a sense of what positions or opportunities are currently available. I would also check Handshake to see what's already in our system. And, you know, meeting with myself to get your resume, your cover letter edited so it's tailored to a TA position. But in addition, reaching out to the faculty member to learn what is the class content, what type of, do you have to have a prereq? Sometimes to be a TA for a class, you have to take some prerequisite courses to show you're already competent in the subject matter, right? So you really should be reaching out to that faculty member ahead of time. So some of that is going to be within your graduate department.
Yeah, and is there any restrictions or like ESG students will be prioritized before MS or something? Because I got the response in that sense from professors of the department.
There definitely could be. Yeah, it's dependent on the professor. Yeah, I can't say for everyone, but definitely it could be.
Not on the professor, I think it is from the department. Like I got the reply from the professors, like the department is not allowing them to hire the MS students as a TA.
So that would, I think that would be,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's an MAE specific, consideration.
So should I talk to the department coordinator regarding that?
We can maybe chat afterward about your specific circumstance, because it sounds like it's very specific or unique to you. Yeah.
any other questions?
Josue, we have a
Yeah.
question. This is probably for Diana.
Okay.
I'm wondering if Diana can speak to a little bit about how interviews on campus typically take place. So are they commonly conducted by the person who's posting the job, or if you're able to provide any more insight on what that process might usually look like?
Yeah, so each department is in charge of posting their own open availability. Typically, the person posting the Handshake job is not going to be the interviewer. Those are typically HR contacts, but hiring supervisors may form a panel. Each department is, it just depends on the department and the way they conduct interviews. But some have a panel, some may be one-on-one with the student who applied. Some may have like a two-part interview where you meet with one group and then you meet with the final hiring supervisor. So unfortunately, I can't say for sure how your interview experience will be.
Yes, you can. You hired students.
Some students. But the way I run my interviews might not be the same as other departments. So just from my experience from working with multiple departments, like it depends, yeah.
Yeah. We each have hired, so I'm sure.
Yeah,
Because there are different experiences.
I know we've taken advantage of the group setting and
Yeah.
then one-on-one, so.
Great question.
Thank you so much. We have another great question. A few people might be able to speak to this, but maybe I'll point to Pauline first. So a student is asking on Handshake, when we apply for jobs, there's sometimes a work authorization section. And what do you recommend that students put in that section?
Great question, Grace. Thank you for this question, Saya. So this question, sometimes when a posting is online, you'll see a question regarding, do you have work authorization, or what kind of work authorization do you have? Can you work in the US? It kind of is asked a couple of different ways, and I'll ask Jessica and Josue to speak to this question also, but it heavily depends on how it's asked and what our response would be. For our F1 students and J1 students, you do have on-campus employment authorization through your F1 status. And for our J1s, you can request it. So in short, you do have employment authorization. You'd have to apply for it ahead of or in advance of your actual start date or work for our J1 students, but you do have employment authorization. There is a separate set of questions around sponsorship, right? And those can get very tricky, just depends on how it's asked and how we would advise you respond to those. But we're happy to kind of talk you through those if you are in your early stages of applying and looking for jobs, so that you can get comfortable answering that specific question. I'll turn it to Josue and Jessica to add on to that response.
Yeah, I kind of recommend doing the same, answering the first one just like Pauline mentioned, and then once it gets to those trickier questions, meet with myself, Jessica, and get some advice, right? Because you want to make sure you're answering those without lying, right? You never want to lie on a job application. So make sure that you kind of meet with us to get prepared to answer those questions.
Yeah, I was going to say, usually it's like yes and yes, right? Are you authorized to work? Yes. But will you now or in the future require sponsorship? You will. And then there's, terminology and language you can use that explains, you will not have to do anything if you're STEM OPT for 3 years, right? So the employer doesn't have to do anything beyond a domestic student for those 3 years that you're on the optional practical training. If you're non-STEM, 1 year, right? So really use that language to your advantage when you're speaking with an employer about what the process is. It's no different. It's really your job to educate the employer on how easy the process is, right? That's not the employer's job to know. Some employers are more friendly, have done it tons of times, have a lot of international staff members, but it's truly your job to make it seem seamless and easy to the employer when you're applying. But yeah, definitely don't lie. They will find out. Some companies have background checks, additional layers that are even more challenging if you're an international student. So you don't want to lie, but at the same time, you want to be explicit about what that means in terms of investment.
Exactly. And like I said, meet with us, because we'll give you guys the resources and kind of we'll collaborate on how best to answer those questions. So,
yeah, I think we already have a template.
Yeah.
We already have a template where you could just use that in terms of language. Yeah.
Great question.
Great question. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Josue. We have another one, unless there's someone in the audience.
Any questions in the audience? No, go ahead, Grace. Shy group over.
All right, so this next question will most likely be for Diana, but we're wondering if someone can speak to, what does the work study filter on Handshake mean?
Okay. So international students typically, or 99% don't get work study. But again, like I mentioned, a lot of our on-campus positions do not require work study. We actually do not utilize that work study filter within Handshake because, again, all students can apply. And then if you do have work study, you would just submit an award letter to that employer or to the hiring supervisor and just designate that you do have work study. But again, there might be some jobs that do have work study in the title. So if you do not have work study, unfortunately, you wouldn't be eligible for that role. But there's plenty of roles posted on Handshake and open to every student, as long as they are authorized to work on campus.
And can I add something to work study? So we're saying work study a lot in this conversation, and work study generally is a program that's for U.S. students, and it's based on financial aid applications. Okay, so this typically doesn't apply. So what Diana mentioned at the top of the student employment encompasses everything, and that work study program is a piece of it. So for U.S. students who qualify for that, that's how they get those types of jobs But as Diana mentioned, the vast majority of positions on campus at UC San Diego are open to all students.
Grace, any other questions in the Q&A?
Any questions in person?
No questions virtually, so please take some time, submit any last questions. If there aren't any, we might go through some outro slides to just allow a few more minutes for folks to submit. But if not, then we'll wrap up.
Sure.
Okay, I'll go through some just reminders and really great on-campus and virtual events coming up. But before we do that, I really want to thank Jessica, Josue, and Diana for their time today. Again, here at ISPO, the Career Center are great partners to us, so please do utilize all of the resources that they shared with you today. On the screen, you'll see a nice link for our meetups. Meetups are a great way to meet other international students at UC San Diego. We are offering 2 different kinds of meetups, interest-based and also regional. To register, go to iorientationucsd.com/meetup. We also want to feature some iOrientation events coming up on Saturday, September 23rd. We just had one this last weekend. Great success, such a fun turnout. We have the UC San Diego bus tour. It's very much in demand. We're, I think, booked, but I'm not sure. We might have a couple of openings still for the September 23rd upcoming Saturday. So do check that out. We do a nice tour to explore your San Diego area, your new home for the next few years. We also have our International Student Fan Fest to collaborate with the athletics department, where you can enjoy free pizza, play fun games, win prizes and raffles, and mingle with other international students and scholar athletes. You'll also learn about volleyball from UC San Diego's women's volleyball team and coaches. On the 27th of September, we will also have our international mixer. So lots of fun events coming up. Every day this week, from starting Monday the 28th or the 18th, I'm sorry, that's today, through Friday the 22nd, we will be having our global coffee hours in the morning and lunch and learns in the afternoon. Global coffee hours take place in our ISPO Eucalyptus Grove from 10:30 to 11:30, where you can come on over for a cup of coffee. We also have tea, morning pastries, and you can meet fellow international students, staff, and participate in fun activities. I will be at coffee hours this week along with Grace and many of our other colleagues. So I'm really looking forward to meeting you all in person. Please come. Our lunch and learn feature different topics every day, from intercultural communication to social justice 101, and lunch is provided. A quick plug for these lunch and learns. They're a smaller group and you get into really great conversations with other international students. Lunch is also great, so please do sign up and come to these. They are a ton of fun. All right, so for our socials, on Monday today, we have our social for international graduates. And on Wednesday, the 20th, we'll have our International Peer Coach Open House for our undergrad students. On Wednesday, the 27th, so next week, we also have our Gap Mixer for those who participated in the Global Ambassador Program. If you want to know more about what's happening here at UC San Diego all year long, please do visit our iEvents calendar. It's a live calendar that features globally engaged events hosted by student orgs and campus departments throughout the year. You can visit ievents.ucsd.edu for the latest. We're almost at the end here. Before we leave you all today, we are raffling off some Amazon gift cards. Everyone loves Amazon. And some ISPO swag as a part of our Instagram giveaway. To enter, first you need to follow us on Instagram, like this post, finally take a picture at iOrientation and either share it as an Instagram post or as a story. Make sure to tag us at ispo.ucsd.edu so that we can share all the fun. All right, it can be a picture from either attending one of our workshops, social events, or even using one of our AR filters. Best of luck, and I'm hoping you all get some ISPO swag, which we're really, really proud of, and you have some really cool things. So please do join the giveaway. Lastly, please do take a minute to scan the QR code on the screen. It will take you to the survey for this session. We would love to hear your feedback so we can continually improve these sessions and better serve you. Okay, some final reminders as well. This is required for all F and J international students. Please log into iPortal if you physically arrived in the US or to campus. So those of you who are sitting there in front of us today, please log into iPortal, submit your check-in. Also register for other sessions at iorientation.ucsd.edu. And you can always contact ISPO via icontact.ucsd.edu. Before we end, I'd like to turn it over to Grace if we had any other questions from the group or Josue from those on site today.
Oh, we do have a question.
Oh, we do have one question.
Okay, sure, yeah.
I just want to ask if there's any report on postgraduate outcomes for like students graduating from UCSD.
Yes, but for PhDs.
Oh.
Yeah, it's still useful. So if you go to the grad division website, they have grad data. So initial placement data for PhD students. And you can go by sector, you can go by major, and you can see the names of companies, the names of industries, and you can download that form. So yes, there is. For masters specifically, that's going to be departmental collects that information right now. And then we also, for undergraduates, have a grad survey that you can fill out as well. So we do have data that we've collected from that as well.
Any other questions?
Great question.
All right, I think that's it for the questions.
All right. Thank you, Josue, Jessica, and Diana again for this great session. And thank you all for attending, whether you are joining us from inside of the US or from the other side of the world, or if you're there on site today. On behalf of the International Students and Programs Office, enjoy the rest of your afternoon, evening, or morning. Have a great fall quarter and see you all at our next session.